Florida's Fourth Estate with hosts Ginger Gadsden and Matt Austin. The show where we bring Florida into focus.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Florida's Fourth Estate. We told you that we had someone really special today, and for the first time ever during this podcast, we are telling you the truth.
We're not overselling. Thank you.
We're gonna.
Is this the normal intro?
We always oversell.
This is always the beginning. You're the real special.
We kept saying it until it happened, and now it's happening.
Yes.
One day we're going to get something good on this podcast.
Here, ladies and gentlemen, it's here.
He's finally arrived. Carlos Navarro. He does so many different things. And I have this quote that is my favorite in life. Okay, it is: you can have anything you want in this life, but you cannot have everything you want. You have to choose. Okay, you remind me and your story of that quote of going after the things that you really want. So this guy, you might know him if you live in Central Florida, as Monsters in the Morning. He's a host on there. Yes, you can tell by that voice into the microphone.
Yes.
He's
But
also
beyond that, right?
an actor in some of my favorite stuff, Walking Dead.
Oh my
Now in
gosh.
the Marvel universe. He
Oh
was in
my
Hawkeye.
god! Now you're talking. Now you're everybody's guy when
crazy.
you enter the Marvel universe.
crazy.
That is crazy. Do you feel like this is your life, or what's happening?
It is a crazy life, Ginger. It's crazy. I've manifested these moments out of the deepest, darkest valleys I was ever at.
Okay, when you say people say it all the time. Oh, manifest what you
Right?
want. Manifest. What are you talking about?
Manifest is the reverse of PTSD. People talk about PTSD all the time, right? Oh, right? It's an emotional, tragic event. It's the reverse. A manifestation is me sitting in my house, never booking a role, not having anybody in the industry, being a first-generation American, being Spanish is my first language, and my mom going, one day, you're going to be in the movies. No reason. And in my little head, I just always believed it. No reason. I began to write it down. I took the classes. I started with commercials. I kept believing it. And then one day that manifestation happened because I wholeheartly believed it with my emotional being.
Yeah, and it wasn't just one day. Okay, so I want to go back in time a little bit. All right, thank you.
Rewind.
Perfect.
Great sound.
Exactly. He's going to be our sound effect guy for the show.
I got a new gig, guys. Call my wife. One more thing. I'm the
Cancel
sound
the
effects.
Marvel universe and the
Forget
Monsters
about
in the
it.
Morning.
Hey, Kevin Feige, I got this sound effects gig in the Fourth Estate. Can you give me some time?
It's going to be huge. Okay, so we're going to take you back. You were on the Monsters
Yes.
in the Morning.
Yes.
Right? You decided at some point you were going to start acting.
Boom.
Back then, you can't act and do the radio at the same time.
No way, man.
So there must have been some sort of conversation in which, and this is just to set this up, if you're not from Central Florida, if you don't know this, Monsters in the Morning is
Huge.
gigantic in the morning. Very popular show. I believe it was started by Russ Rollins, right?
Absolutely. Russ Rollins himself, his radio dream, my buddy, my pal, you would never guess it throughout our history. But yeah, that man had a dream and manifested his dream of this massive successful radio show that I've been fortunate to grow with. But yes, at a certain point in time, I was fired from.
So you were fired because you were chasing your dream as an actor.
I was in my mid-20s. I've been on the show for about 10 years, and the show was in a very drama-filled place. It was a very different time. It was the early 2000s, no social media, and I was going through it. I was a pretty bad alcoholic. I was a crazy. You see my energy now, right? And then I would drink, and I wilded out, and I got in trouble, and I put the show on the line, and I did a lot of stupid things. I never did anything maliciously, right? That was the trouble with me, right? I would be this wild guy, but I'm like, man, I kind of like Carlos. He's like nice, and then with the show, I got a little too big for my britches. Not full so, but then the other side wasn't budging. I rubbed somebody the wrong way, and boop, they fired me about 3 months before I was supposed to get married.
Wow.
Ooh, ouch.
That hurts.
Oh my gosh. So when you're saying you weren't malicious, but you were kind of reckless, everything you did, it was hurting yourself, not anyone else, really.
And the others in my ripple effect, right?
yeah.
Like my fiance, who the night before I got arrested and embarrassed myself, she's like, "You're gonna get arrested, Carlos. Like, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
And I was such in a weird place that I wasn't out of that bubble. I went from 17 years old, hired on that radio show, to about 27, in an age when radio was as big as TV, and so I didn't know any different. Not to use an excuse, but then life goes boom and fires me, and life goes what? Boom, and you might go to jail for a long time.
Wow.
And then boom, oh, you're losing those houses because remember 2007, 8?
Oh yeah.
that piled on top of all the...
I went bankrupt too.
Wow.
Wow.
So this is and
Lord.
you're being told that your dream by Russ Rollins
Russ himself
said, you're making a huge mistake
Yeah.
here. He said it on the radio.
No,
in
we
front of
were
everybody.
on stage. Ready? Even
Oh
bigger
my
than this.
God.
Okay. All right.
Ready?
Yeah.
We're on stage at Hard Rock Live. We used to sell out Hard Rock Live with our performances and songs. And he knew I had bigger aspirations. And as any boss at that time, and he's himself admitted this was wrong, and I was wrong at times. And that's like my uncle. That's like my family,
Right.
you know. And he didn't want me to go. He straight up told me, Carlos, I didn't want you to go. You were a big part of my show. So I was like, look, this is the biggest thing you'll ever do, Carlos, and you'll never get anything bigger. And we were at Hard Rock. I mean, it's a
my
pretty big
God.
stage.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty big, we're at Hard Rock.
Yeah.
There's thousands, so I get it. But in my head, I was like, and he
Wow.
was saying it to all of us collectively. He was staring at me. And he didn't even remember this, but I remembered it. And I used that as fuel. I was like, this is not going to be the biggest thing.
That is the equivalent of telling you you'll never work in this town
Town again? I know. I know. It's crazy.
Well, he was right. You're not working in this town. You're
Yeah,
working everywhere.
I know.
Yeah.
But I was fired, and I had to be humbled. You don't learn anything when you keep hitting stuff and doing this. And I was on this indiscriminate winning streak. It wasn't conscious. It was luck and talent, and eventually luck and talent runs out without a plan.
But why do you think it is that people who are so successful, it seems like they have to be torn down first? Like you started at 17. That is really young, and that's a great excuse. But by 27, you know better, right?
Sure.
So why do you think that is, that you had to go that route? And you hear that. That's not an unfamiliar story.
I think you have to be grateful. And sometimes we're unconsciously not grateful. Sometimes we get things, we don't know how good we have it. It takes death to remind us of life. And think about that. And so as a young guy who had a lot of things given to me, it wasn't like I deserved this, but it came to me. And when I lost it all, I mean, I got in a fight in the middle of downtown. I was spit on. People were throwing beers at me. I was a real piece of crap. And if you don't turn around from there, then you're just going to keep going. I had an amazing wife that believed in me. That was one person of all the people I met that didn't give up on me.
Wow.
And was like, Carlos, if you give up drinking, you're going to be on The Walking Dead. I swear to God. Carlos, if you give up drinking, you're going to be a star. She would tell me this. Nobody else was saying this to me. Nobody else could get through to me.
Did you choose well or what?
Biggest decision you ever made as a wife.
It's, not only
For
me,
real.
but people don't understand who you choose to spend your time with will dictate your life, especially your partner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
You know?
So, okay. So let's keep on this timeline here.
Let's go.
All right. So you're fired. People are spitting on you.
You're not going to ever be anything.
Yeah, nothing, kid. You know,
I know,
guys
I know.
yelling at you in the corner.
I'm picturing
of the
now.
Rocky movie. The
I'm got a
music's
crutch.
playing.
I'm
Right.
like,
So now what happened? What is the thing in this
Oh my
moment, in this
God.
valley
Oh
that
my
really
God.
turns it around?
That snaps
so
you out
weird.
of it.
Yeah.
So
Do you
weird.
get that role? Do you what?
okay, same day I get fired, I get a call from EA Sports and Fox Studios.
Stop it.
Same day?
Same day. One from EA Sports saying, hey, we hear you're this talk radio person, not knowing, that hadn't even been announced yet. So this is an exact version of when you have to listen to the universe. Or for in many cases, people want to say God. I can say God, that's fine. And it's God, like God's like, hey, look, I'm still here. Have you learned yet? What's your biggest mistake? Well, my biggest mistake seems to be I wild out when I drink. Everything else, okay, so probably I should quit drinking, so I quit drinking, right?
Yeah.
Cold turkey.
Cold turkey. And it worked. Thank God it worked. That was the first time. I did go back to drink. But that's another story, right? So anyway, EA Sports comes, hey, you're available? We'd love to hire you. Boom. I go to the Prison Break audition. I get hired. I'm on Prison Break. So in my mind, I haven't had that full withdrawal or that humility yet or that humbleness. Because
you just hopped right
Because then
into
it's
the
like,
next.
boom, oh, now you're on EA Sports
Yeah,
and
yeah.
now you're on Prison Break. But I've still super lost everything, right? But I would say The Secret was one of the books that really helped me start truly believing in everything I that is my ritual, that is my base, that is in my infrastructure for mindset now.
So, I mean, but so you read The Secret, you took it to heart, you started putting it into practice. What was the first thing you did?
Ownership. I was a victim. There's a great book called The Four Agreements. One of the main things, Yeah, Dom Miguel.
Ginger was about to pass out.
I give that book to people.
Okay, yeah, as you should. It's a basis of how people should look at it, and a lot of it. There's the warrior and the warrior, and I was a worrier. I was worried about this person, what they thought about me. I was worried about this, and then I realized when I take ownership of everything, whether I have fault or not, then I can control it, right? So inside we have the victim and we have the judge. And I was the victim at that point. They fired me because of blah, blah, blah. I had to just go, no, they fired you because you were dispensable.
Wow. That's
Which is a hard
hard.
realization.
Right?
We all have a hard time with that.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm
Yeah.
not going to say that.
You know what I'm saying? And my wife and I was like, no, because I remember saying, I can remember saying this. There's no way they'll fire me.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Okay, but
This
not
is
Challenge
for anybody.
accepted.
Yeah, exactly. Universe was like, I was like, wait a second.
Oh,
Who said
really?
that? Carlos. Okay. You're gonna, yeah.
Oh,
And
my
I would say,
gosh.
and it wasn't. You wouldn't think at that moment that I wasn't some crazy. I was still helping people. I was still trying to be a good person. But if we don't take conscious choices or decisions in our lives, we can indiscriminately go a bad way.
Yeah, very true.
You know?
You need to have a plan.
You need a little bit of guidance, and that's what I'm very big on. I write every day. I don't write novels. I write plans, thoughts, ideas. Do you know people walk around every day and never write a single thing down about their lives, and then they complain why nothing is working out? Well, if it's a big mess here, why don't you get it down here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
So I
you say
started
that.
taking more of a plan in my life.
I just started reading this book by Marcus Aurelius, Meditations.
Oh, I love a Stoic
And
philosophy.
it's like, man, like this dude wrote down all the characteristics of the people who he learned things from. And
I'm a big believer in the Stoic philosophies. Marcus Aurelius, Ryan Holiday is also a great Stoic philosopher who the obstacle is the way is a big way that I believe as well.
yeah, it's fascinating stuff. And so when do things start? Okay, so Walking Dead, when does this come in?
Oh, my
this
gosh.
This is I rember watching The Walking Dead because I am a big fan.
Yeah.
And I saw you on it, and I was like, is that just a guy who looks like me?
Yeah.
Or is it him?
It tripped people out
Yeah.
because that was my dream show. Okay, so I dreamed of being on that show. You talking about manifestation. I would write in a notebook, I will be on The Walking Dead meeting Andrew Lincoln. There wasn't a remote idea that I would be on there. And then I remember this clearly. My daughter was in her baby we just got back on our feet. We just got a little bit of money, a little tiny bit to get a place, right? And my agent's like, you got an audition for The Walking Dead. And I'm like, oh my God. I can remember being back in the back porch looking at my wife and like, honey, if we book this, it's superstardom, you know? Because we needed it.
Yeah.
We needed a win. And I went on audition and heard nothing back, right?
It's the worst.
For 5 years.
What?
Years.
No. 5 months?
5 years, okay? So for 5 years, The Walking Dead kept asking to see me. Different roles.
So they kept calling you
They
back.
kept calling me
during
back.
That 5 years.
But in the acting world, you don't get a call. Hey, Carlos, love that last audition. Do you mind just looking to the right? No, it's nothing.
Yeah.
No feedback. And they just go, they want to see me again. So 5 years in, I'm looking at my daughter, and she's riding her bike, and I get the next audition, and I'm literally going through the motions because I had made a decision, right? If I would have made a choice, and this is a choice, one more audition, and I never audition for The Walking Dead again because they hate me.
Right.
I made a decision. I will audition for The Walking Dead until I'm an old ass Hispanic man, right?
Oh
yeah.
my goodness.
So you're the grandpa.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, Carlitos, I am the zombie. I'm a right.
You won't need makeup.
Yeah. I won't even need makeup. Just show up. Like, bring him in. Bring him in.
Yeah, he
Right.
already looks like a zombie.
No, he's great. We waited. Perfect. So instead, I was like, no. And I was just going. I was doing my thing, but it was like getting turned down. Like, imagine. I'm sure you guys are at your dream roles, but there's always that next level, right? And that was I just want to get on the show.
Yeah.
Because that's a manifestation that if I got on it, I'd be able to share with other people this story. I knew it because I was so specific about it. You can go to my studio and get a notebook from 2014. And it says, like Marcus Aurelius says, what does he say about it? Your notebooks will be the best books of your library. You know?
Yeah.
And so you can see it, and then one day I get an email after taking a nap, not even thinking about The Walking Dead, from the executive producer, Scott Gimble. Carlos, the executive producer of The Walking Dead would like to see you, out of the blue. I'm like, what? I called my agent. I'm like, dude, have you ever seen this before? She's booked a bunch of people on The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I've never seen this before. Okay, well, let me just. They sent Carlos. Are you? I got The Walking Dead on the line. Are you good with motorcycles? I said, yeah. I said, absolutely. I'm good with motorcycles. Yeah.
Whatever.
She goes, boom. She hangs up. She goes, are you good with motorcycles? I never really. But I'm calling.
But I
up.
will.
Harley Davidson, right? I'm like, and then they hang up and they send me an audition. I do it. They send it back. They go, no. Are you good with horses? I said, call me Horsey Carlos. I'm a cowboy Carlos, you know. I live near Kissimmee. Sometimes I
Oh my God.
you know. And my agent hangs up. She goes, "Are you good?" I go, "I've never been around." So Here we go. So I do the audition. I don't hear anything back, and I'm like, "Oh my God!" Then I get a call. I don't know. I'm standing with my wife in the kitchen, eating like a cookie, like. And I get a call. You need to be in Atlanta, Georgia tomorrow. You booked a regular recurring role. I'm sending you the script, and you don't know anything about your character other than his name rhymes with your name. Bye. Click. I get it. I'm like, what? I go. I check the script. The guy's name is Alvaro. I'm like, Navarro? What are the chances of that?
Oh, my goodness.
I read the script. I look at my wife. They didn't kill me! I'm alive! I get 2 episodes! 2 episodes! Right? And I know the series. Why? Because I manifested. Now, was it just writing it? No, I read the comic book. I researched the writers. I knew what was coming up. I knew they had the kingdom. I knew I could maybe play that because I read that. I had insight on things. That was part of the manifestation. Fast forward 2 years later, where I'm in the rap party. And I'm trying to meet Scott Gimble, the executive producer, the guy that wrote me the
Sent
message.
you that message,
right?
yeah.
And I'm with Kari, and I'm like, listen, can you introduce him? I got to thank him. I can't believe this guy thought, whatever. And there he is. He's like dancing. I'm like, he's not even going to know my name. I play one guy, and I'm like, hey, Mr. Gimble goes, who dares trespass on the sod? He starts saying my lines.
Wow.
And I'm like, like that. And he goes, Carlos, thank you so much he gives me a hug. We were waiting forever to find the perfect role for you. And man, we're so glad. I said,
wow.
I said, wait a second, you knew the whole time? He goes, knew the whole time. That's why we named him Alvaro after Navarro.
It would be nice if they had shared
I know.
that.
Could you not send an email?
Years ago.
Can you believe that? I was this close, Ginger. I was this close, Matt, to my success. And if I would have said no, one more,
But, does it get to a point where, sometimes you have something and it's like you want it so badly. Do you get to a point where you're like, I'm going to have to be okay either way if I get it or not, and you just release it back to the universe? You just say, like, if I don't get it, I'm going to be fine. Did you ever do that? Did you ever just go, like, if I never get, I know you wanted it, but did you have to release it first?
No, I think I did that with stand-up comedy. I think I did that with an actual thing I really wanted. I really wanted to do stand-up, and I did stand-up. And I had to be okay with choosing and giving up on that, even though it's still one of my most favorite forms. And that was tough because I didn't want to.
Yeah.
But I knew, I was like, I can't do both of these. And man, I really have devoted. So maybe in that sense, but no, I haven't. When I make a decision and it's a healthy one, I really try and stay locked in on it. Now, I've had many failures. I failed way more than I succeeded. And I've definitely not been on shows or projects that I auditioned for months for. I auditioned for months for, what was that Lin-Manuel show? It's so funny, In the Heights. Okay. I didn't know how to dance that well. I trained to dance. I trained to sing. I put my heart and soul. I affirmate. You're not going to name one thing that you get 100% of. Right?
Not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. So people want to use that 20% of the manifestation.
See,
you didn't book In the Heights. And I'm like, well, yeah, because I'm not that good of a dancer, okay? Yeah. And I did my best for the 4 agreements. I did my best, though. And so I'm content.
Yeah. You didn't miss out because you screwed up or something like that. You gave your all.
Let me get some water here.
Okay, Grab a little water.
My mouth gets a little dry.
Now, if we were on the newscast.
Oh my God.
Like,
did that just freak y'all out?
No, it's like, no.
But this is a podcast, you can do
The
it.
director would,
I know, I felt
So
that.
take a drink.
Have a fit.
Because one thing I'm always curious about. We're going to play a little inside baseball.
Please do too.
Will you tell us everything?
Everything.
Okay.
Oh, wow. We said it was going to be honest.
When you book a role with The Walking Dead, a recurring role, it's not like you're not Rick Grimes.
No.
You're not Michonne with
Right,
the
of
sword
course.
or anything, but you're in there. What kind of money are we talking?
Okay, upfront money is nothing big. A SAG regular, you're going to get just to show up one day about after you pay your agents like $1,700. Okay, just to show up
Just
and
to
be on
show
set.
up. Well,
That's SAG, and that's roughly. That's roughly. I don't want anybody listening like actually SAG minimum is $13.49 in
Right.
the Southeast region.
Beat it.
You know, like the way you make the money is residuals.
Okay.
Okay, so when I was on 9 episodes of The Walking Dead in their prime seasons. So I fortunately have made tens of thousands, if not thousands, tens of thousands of dollars from The Walking Dead.
Okay.
I can't believe you asked the money question.
Why?
That is because when we go out as news anchors, and you go to schools, first thing kids want to know is like, how much money do you make? And it's like,
Well, I think it's a good question because I don't mind talking about my.
I didn't say it wasn't a good. Listen,
She wanted to ask it.
You know, half of this show is me asking a question and Ginger.
I didn't like that
looking
one.
up. Yeah,
You know what, Matt?
You know,
Rewind.
what's wrong with you?
I don't like, that question was inappropriate. Thank you.
Money?
Listen, I think people have I think normally, people are a little uncomfortable, but so many people do wonder what it's like to make money as an actor. How do you make money as an actor, right? And it's tough. One of the things I do as an actual coach and helping people with this stuff is that I show you how to survive while still building this, right? Because, so you could book one commercial and make a lot of money. But let's say, for example, so Walking Dead, I shoot it. I don't get any money up front. Let's say I had to have money as a family man. I got to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to get a dime until at least 30 days after that shoot date.
Yeah, they're not cutting you a check right after
You're not walking like, who's next? All right, and that's from AMC. You know, you may get a little per diem if you travel, but it's nothing sustainable, right? So then you got to pay your agent. And that's 10% of gross, not net, right? So they're gonna get a little bit more, as they should. You got a manager, they're gonna get 10% too.
Oh God.
Okay, then taxes, right? So that 1,700 has now turned into maybe 1,000, right? So that's every time you see any show where it's a scene and they have this funny character come up, something that you may have seen it. Think of that's what that actor got paid. If they got 2 days, they got 2 of that. Okay, now that's sucks up front.
Yeah.
But let's say like a show like The Walking Dead, you're gonna then about 6 months later begin to receive some really nice checks. Even if you shot one day, if the show's big, you could get, and you stay. Let's say you shot 3 or 4 days, you're gonna get thousands of dollars on that back end. But is that sustainable? Can you survive off that? No. You have to really build a resume. So every day I check the mail, I can go online, and I'll get a random check from this place, and then I'll get a fat-ass check, and I'll be, Hawkeye, those are starting to come in. And you're like,
Oh man.
thank you, Jesus!
I like it. So you started to see success.
Yeah.
And then at some point in this, you needed, or maybe you didn't need it, but you wanted to have that stable job, like a Monsters in the Morning. So I would imagine at some point, you're now on the Monsters in the Morning. You're back. How did you have this conversation with the man, the myth, the legend, Russ Rollins, where you're like, I'll take my apology now.
Yeah.
On air.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're going back to the Hard Rock.
Yeah, we're going to go right in the same spot. You're going to look at me in those baby blues. It was a gradual, weird, never in a million years that I think I was going to be back in the Monsters. In that entire time. Because it was bad bridges burn. And what I tell people is, you can burn a bridge, but don't burn that last little part.
Leave a note.
Leave
A little extension.
Just leave some. And that's what was there, right? Was this
Yeah.
little, because in all actuality, Russ and I really didn't have that many issues. It was one really bad one that exploded, and that's usually what happens. So if it was like consistent bad blood, it would have been very tough, but it wasn't. It was kind of like this big explosion, and then it was done. You know?
Russell, he needed 2 of the 4 agreements. Be impeccable with your word.
Yeah.
And don't take anything personally.
Yeah.
Because your success was not personal.
It wasn't.
To
Yeah.
him, you
Yeah.
know, but he took it personally.
You're right.
Yeah.
You know?
But he
You're
gave,
right.
in Russ's defense, he started this show. He loved you on the show. You have to know when you take advice from somebody, is this person coming from a place of bias at all? And Russ
you're right.
wanted you on that show.
Yeah.
So I know that in my life, if I'm asking somebody for some advice, it better be somebody who doesn't have skin in the game.
You're so right, Matt, because he looked at me when Daniel and I, this was another member on the show, we were going to leave and do our own show. It would have been a big deal. Actually, Tom and Dan are very successful now. They have their own podcast. Daniel and I were ready to leave. They wanted us to be the nighttime show. Russ begged us not to leave. I can't even repeat the words he said that he would do to us not to leave. He's okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But so there was a lot of love. Fast forward, I'm fired. Fast forward 3 or 4 years later, I've sent texts with Russ. There's no super bad blood or anything, and I'm driving to New Orleans to film a movie with Jason Statham and Winona Ryder, and I'm like driving there, and I just booked another, and I'm kind of feeling myself a little bit, right? You know, so like I'm like, you know what? And I think of that moment of Russ, and I pull over to that Popeyes in between Georgia and Florida that everybody stops at because I love to get me a little. So I stop by. And I'm like, you know, I'm gonna send out a fire post. You know, I was like,
spicy chicken. I'm gonna send a spicy text.
and this was the age when people really looked at Facebook. Okay, like
boy.
I wrote this passive aggressive. It was kind of to everybody. It wasn't truly to Russ. It was more of like a lot of haters that were like straight up were like, you're never gonna do anything other than commercial. You're not even gonna book a commercial. These people would write this, send it to me, and email it to me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We're
And y'all
aware
know.
of the,
Y'all know.
Yeah.
We're aware.
And so I write it, and it was whatever. It was very general, but it was like, hey, a lot of people straight up looked at me in the face and said I would not succeed in this industry. This is my 3rd film of the year. I've filmed 2 commercials. I'm in New Orleans right now, staying at a nice hotel on somebody else's dime. I think it worked out. I get to my hotel room, driving there. I crash, I sleep, I wake up, and I see a text from Russ. And I'm like,
that was direct.
and I was like, uh-oh. I was like, so I click on it. He goes, dude, I just read that post. I think you're talking about me. I truly apologize. You are so right. I was so right. It was like this open-throated, full apology that if you know Russ now, it won't surprise you that he did.
Right. He is actually a nice
He's
guy.
a super awesome, caring, loving guy. I love the dude. I defend him. I've been there for him. We've had ups, we've had downs. But man, we've shared a 20-year broadcasting career together.
Yeah,
Think
but
about
did you
that.
need that apology? Did
I
you
did.
need him to say that?
You know, I'd never been asked that before, Ginger, but I think I did because he was somebody I really was like my boss and somebody who opened the door of entertainment for me. He was the first one. Savannah was really the first one. I was like, you're funny, you need to do entertainment. And then Russ was like, oh, yeah, I want you on my show. So there was, I think I did need that. And it really was so, I wrote my wife, I was like, you will never believe what just happened.
It meant a lot to you.
And
yeah.
guess what? That's what led to me getting back on the show.
Yeah.
So there was a charity bowling tournament that they had invited me. Real Radio had invited me as an actor to go back. And it was
Oh my
like pretty
God.
sweet.
Full
Yeah,
circle
pretty sweet,
moment,
you know?
right?
And I was like, it was pretty validating. And I won't forget, I'm leaving to the garage and I look at my wife and I was like, you know what? Because there was all Real Radio people there, right? And I was like, I'm not going to go. I was like, I'm not going to go. This is weird. This is like, and she's like, no, you go and you talk to Russ and you say, hey, what's up? And I'm like, whatever. That's the meeting. And there's a picture of him and I talking and we're cracking up. And he's like, hey man, why don't you come by on the show? And fast forward 6 years later or whatever, I came in, not ever wanting to be back on the show, but when I was given the opportunity, I said, oh, I can't screw this up. This gig is too good. I can come back with this knowledge of being humbled, of losing it all, of being able to share this with a dose of laughter, with a dose of humility. And thankfully, he was so open to it, and the audience was too. And it was just like this, the station was at a really weird place at the time, and I came in and really injected some energy and a gratefulness, and they were too, and we shot through the roof.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That is such an incredible story. I love that, and I hope so many people are listening to this and receiving it, because when you talk about English is not even your first language, you know, there are a lot of people who are here in Central Florida who that is very true for, and they also have dreams.
Yeah. My mom was Cuban. God rest her soul. My dad is Peruvian, and I didn't know any. Like, I came from New York. I could live with Cuban grandmas and it was tattooed on me. We only spoke Spanish. It was 1986 in Florida. People think that, you know, oh, so many Hispanics around. It was not like that
Not
in
here,
1980s.
not in Central
yeah,
Florida.
not in Central Florida. I would tell people, hey, I'm Peruvian. They go, what's that? It
Yeah.
was a very different time. And then I had to learn English as a little kid. And obviously, hey, I wasn't. And then that was something that I always just thought everybody was until I got in middle school. This is kind of a funny story. This is the first time I realized I was Hispanic.
What?
I know. When you're a kid, you don't know any different.
Yeah.
You know,
Just think you're like everybody
and on
else.
top of that, like, I'm lighter skinned. Back then, it was like, you're Hispanic, you're dark skinned. You're not Hispanic, you're not. They would look at me, you're not Hispanic, you're light skinned. I'm like, it's not a race, guys.
Oh my
it's an
gosh.
ethnicity. But to this day, people don't understand this, right? So I didn't know what I was. I was like, okay, I guess some people like me talk Spanish and some don't. I didn't get it. And so one day I had tried out for 6th grade basketball. Hayward was a coach. He was the smoothest dude. He had always wore Miami Cane stuff. And I tried out. I was horrible at basketball, but I wanted to make it. He's like, Jason, whatever. And I'm like, here. Like, Malcolm, whatever, here. And they're like, Carlos Navarro. And I was like, here. And he's like, Carlos Navarro? I look like Fred Savage. Okay. And the next week he goes, And he goes, what you is? What you is? And I go, yeah, I know. He's like, what you is? And I was like, I don't know. He goes, where your mommy from? Like that, I go, Cuba. He goes, where your daddy from? And I go, Peru. And he goes, you Spanish.
Oh my God.
And it hit me that moment. I was like,
oh my God.
I'm Spanish. I guess I'm Hispanic.
Middle school.
It's a different. I know people think that are just like so young that ethnicity and race and sexual orientation, everything was talked about openly, and it was not.
But I like that you weren't even put in a box, though.
I wasn't.
No.
I wasn't until he kind of put me in one, but it was fine.
But up until then,
no, it wasn't a big topic of conversation. I never thought it didn't weigh on me. And then, but my grandma always used to tell me, Carlitos, this one right here, Ita, God rest her soul. If I didn't have her, I'd be, who knows? But she always used, Carlitos. And I'll say it in Spanish, sabiendo español va a ser la cosa más importante de tu vida. And I'll say it in English now. Knowing Spanish is going to be one of the most important things that will ever happen in your life. And at the time, I was like, there's no way. I don't want to talk Spanish. I want to talk English. I want to be like my English-speaking friends. Nobody talks Spanish around me. I don't even want to talk Spanish.
Yeah.
And man, was that little old lady right. It has been such a central piece, even though it's not something, you're not going to find me like, pounding my chest about my heritage or anything like that. I'm very proud and I have a lot of pride. But man, it has been this central theme. And so I studied every accent so that I could play every Hispanic. I can play Cuban, I can play Colombian, I can play Ecuadorian, I can play Nicaraguan, I can play Peruvian, I can play Mexican, and I give it the real accent.
Yeah.
I don't go like, hey, orale, bro. I really study it. And so I've got this appreciation for not only my culture, but all of the wonderful Hispanic cultures out there.
Very cool.
Oh, that is great.
Yeah.
Wow, we could talk to you all day.
I know. We are talking to you all day. Our interviews never go this long.
No.
Nice.
You're
Nice.
excellent. I really hope we have you back after
love
you do
to.
the next big thing, because I know
Awesome.
there will be the next big thing.
Yeah. So as we kind of let you sail off into the sunsets here.
Yeah.
There's only one sunset. I just said.
Hey,
Yes.
sorry.
As you sail off into the sunset
Yes.
of this interview, what can we find you in next? What are we going to see? Can you talk
man.
about it? You got anything on the horizon here?
You know what? I do have some stuff on the horizon. I'll tell you this: the Tracksuit Mafia and Hawkeye I think will probably go down as the one
Are
of the
you getting a
biggest.
spin-off?
Who knows? I can't say
Oh.
anything. But I mean, of course. Am I getting a spinoff? Yeah, call Kevin Feige. Hey, Kevin, we need 2 spinoffs. I'll tell you this: Kevin and Marvel and everybody was ecstatic about the stuff, and they keep on putting Trusted Bro stuff in all these different projects, and I'm just like, keep putting them in. And really, what I've been focusing on is helping others with. I've been really focusing on a personal development brand, which is kind of taking all of the things I've talked about, taking all the woo-woo stuff out of manifestation, taking all of the, and actually real practical, tactical advice and mentorship to allow people to be happier by living through their passions, which in turn will relieve anxiety and stress. Because the most anxiety and stress is caused by energy that's trapped because, man, I should have done this, or man, I regret that. And if you can work through that, man, your life can be so happy. And that's why I got this energy about me.
You do.
Yeah.
You do have some serious energy.
Okay, I think you're great. The person I want to meet next is your wife.
Oh,
I mean, she sounds like a force to be reckoned with, and the person who has just propped you up every single time you needed it.
Thank you for that. Yeah, she is my backbone. She's an exceptional woman. She's a first-class standard bearer. And she found me when I was wearing baggy jeans.
Oh, man.
Wilding out.
That's love.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
love.
Like, if you see that version of Carlos or this version of Carlos, she was like an old, like, I see it. We must go through it. We must get through the years. Like,
We're gonna have to rub this diamond for a while. to get a
Hey,
little
Sid. No, she is a world-class woman, and she's an amazing mother to my girls are my everything. My little world is. I think that's ultimately if you can just be happy with your little tribe, your little
Oh
crew.
yeah, that's the key to everything.
Man, can you just be great everywhere else?
Yeah, something about wives, like when you have big career decisions, big life decisions, it's like they can just see through all the mess because you're in it. And then you're like, no, this is what you need to be doing.
Yeah.
I've had that
Yeah.
same thing in my life.
Yeah.
Well, nobody's going to ask you, what you
What you is.
anymore.
What you
Everybody knows
is
who you
is successful.
That's right.
Thank you, Thank you.
Carlos
Oh my
Navarro,
gosh.
Monsters in the Morning, Walking
Thank you
Dead,
so much.
Hawkeye,
Thank
Tracksuit
you.
Mafia.
Love you.
I love
Oh
you.
my
Thank
gosh.
you.
No, seriously. I do motivational speaking. I
do.
mean, that's what you're doing
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
It's like anyway.
you.
Yeah.
All right.
You're fantastic. Thank you.
Check us out next week on Florida's Fourth Estate. We'll have an even more specialer.
Did you say more specialer? What is wrong
Well,
with
you
you?
oversold it in the beginning. You're like, we told you for a while we're going to get a good guest. And we
It
finally
worked out, right?
Seriously.
He was amazing.
I manifested that.
Thank you. Both for agreements. I'm it. Both.
I'm going to go write it down in my notebook. We'll see you next week.